Hey viewers, my name's Cara. It's day 8 out of 9 of Vlogstice 2024, and today we're talking about candles. First things first, I recently moved and I haven't opened a box of candles that I took with me across the country. So let's go ahead and unbox my candles. So we're gonna unbox some of my candles that I brought along on my travels and haven't unboxed yet. These two were in a separate box, so these are already out. I love a good jar candle. I do have a lot of random tea light candles already out that are still in candle holders because I was in the middle of using them for various things, so they're just with their holders. We have the cats joining us today, of course, because we're in their territory right now. We can see one little kitty. We can see two little kitties. Boop. There she is. Oh, no. Were you just putting your sister more in frame? Are you helping? Hang on, it's not done yet. There we go. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, we used a lot of the crochet washcloths that I have crocheted to cushion things. These are scrubby yarn washcloths. This one's actually double thick. It's very nice. There's this one. There's this one. Oh yeah, okay, so this is where more of my hats are. I forgot we used my hats to cushion things. So we have some Halloween colored tea light candles. I always stock up on black candles around Halloween because it's one of the only times that you can commonly find them at regular stores. Of course, I also love to support a witchy shop and get black candles from them, but sometimes I need more than that. Here's another jar candle, lovely. I also stock up on these simple 7-day candles, jar candles. And here's another one that I've been burning down that we also used to store 2 votive candles that I got from Eerie Lights or Irie Lights at the medieval fair. I've now seen him, his name is Evan, I've now seen him at multiple medieval fairs in multiple states around the country. I was not expecting to see him out in the desert, but that's where I bought those. This jar candle was actually used for a class that I did a few years ago, and we drew symbols on it. I used dry erase marker. I'm not going to show you the symbols, they're on the other side because they're private to the work that I was doing in that class. But as an idea of something that you can do, you can draw symbols temporarily with dry erase marker, you can draw on them with permanent marker, you can decoupage and glue things all over these glass jars. Lots of people like to do that as a whole project. So there's those, and here's another of my crochet hats and another one of my, the famous hat. The famous hat that everybody from my channel knows. Yes, I still have this hat. Yes, I still wear it. There are people I went to college with who don't recognize me without that hat. Some more votive candle holders, one of which has a partially burnt spell candle in it. St. Patrick's Day scarf, crochet headband, crochet hat made of the same yarn. This is just a random box that we had, by the way, so another hat. Okay, now here's some Halloween jar candles with lids. I love this style of like glass jar. These ones say the scent is Halloween Nights curated with dark scents. I'm not sure how I would actually describe the scent. It's a little bit like maybe vanilla, something like that. It's kind of like sweet, but it's not floral, it's not fruity. It's not real musky and earthy either, so the closest thing that I'm thinking of is like vanilla, not butterscotch, but like that genre of scents, I guess. And then similarly, the last 2 in here are also in these little glass jars, but these are old, they're dirty, they were in my mom's shed for a long time. I have started using them. Now, of course, I'm not going to be able to get them back open. My goodness. Well, there's a bunch of wax stuck in that one. I remember what happened. This one does not smell so good. I don't think this was specifically scented. It's just an old candle, and I've just been using them as illuminator candles, literally just for light. And then once they're burned all the way down, I'll use them to put votive candles and other things like that inside. Now this one has more of an essential oil scent. I'm wondering if these aren't ones that my mom blended her own scent oils to add, because this smells really familiar, but I cannot place the name. But it's definitely one of the essential oils that we used to use to make candles and incense and oils. We used to make oil blends too. Like maybe Lang Lang or something like that. But that other one did not smell good. I don't know about that one. Halloween scarf and my Cat Magic Punks neck gaiter that makes me look like a cat. Cat Magic Punks. I have several of their things. So these are the candles that were in the candle box. Now I know where they are. So now that's done. Cat's over here now. And yes, there are more candles elsewhere in the room. I guess the other thing I want to do in this video is talk a little bit about how I use candles in my practice and maybe give you some tips. Maybe not all of you watching this need those tips, but I'm guessing there's going to be at least a few people who find this video who do. So let's talk about candles. So there are a bunch more candles in the area. I have some fun, pretty blue candle holders, which can work for tea lights or votives. I have a tea light in it at the moment. I have a bunch of taper candles. I don't tend to use them as often. I think you got the impression from that box that I mostly do like candles in jars with lids, and that's partly because I live with cats. I do use taper candles and other types of candles, particularly for spell work. Sometimes that is just the better candle for the job. But I'm very careful with those because when I'm not actively using them, I'm not talking about the flame, I mean the candle is not lit when I am not paying attention to it. A taper candle is much easier for a cat to knock over and break it in half or in multiple pieces. Sometimes that works with the magic of what you're going for, but oftentimes that's not what I want to happen to my candle. Sometimes I break a taper candle on purpose, but that's different too. But if I'm doing a spell with a taper candle, I need to make sure that when I'm not using it and it's not lit, I have to put it away in a cabinet or a drawer, something that I know the cats can't get into. Because one of my cats also loves to chew on things, especially soft things. So like some of my sandals that are like foam soles, some of my other shoes, I guess. But there are various things of various materials that I know will get chewed on if I leave them out, and candles are one of them. So I do use taper candles sometimes. I do use pillar candles sometimes, but not nearly as often as I use tea lights, votives, and jar candles. Those taller, like 7-day candles, but any candle in a jar. And this might be obvious to some of you who are experienced candle users, but just in case anybody's watching this who doesn't know, when you're using a jar candle, or even in some cases a big pillar candle, you're meant to light them for a long enough period of time that the entire surface of the wax becomes liquid, so that when you blow it out, it can re-solidify and stay on a level plane. If you're burning them for too short of an amount of time, and it's just making a little divot in the wax and then it rehardens, that's how you end up with the wax burning down and down and down in the middle and the sides of it remaining higher, which doesn't bother everyone. If it doesn't bother you, that's fine. But I've heard people from time to time in my life over the years comment about jar candles saying, I don't like them, I don't get it, I don't use them, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that, it never burns right. That's why. You're really meant to let them burn for a long enough time that it becomes liquid. It would be the same with those tall, thin jar candles. It just goes faster because it's a smaller surface. So bear that in mind, because that's another thing. If you're using them for spell work, or even just for ambiance while you're doing other things, I will only light those candles if I know that I'm going to be in the room using it for long enough to let it do that. So depending on the candle, that might be an hour, it might be 2 to 3 hours. If you're not somebody who likes to burn a candle for that long at a time, I'd go with something else, like a votive candle in something like this, so that as it melts down, it's being caught, or a tea light. And because tea lights come in the little metal things, you don't necessarily have to put it in something else, but I would just make sure that if the bottom gets hot, that it's not resting on a surface that's going to be ruined by the heat or accidentally get burned. It depends on what you have. I also use birthday candles for some things. They burn very quickly, relatively. I use chime candles, which are kind of small and short. They make holders that are specifically for them. They're the ones that are used in those spinning holiday things. I'll try to get a picture and put it here. They're similar, I think, to menorah candles, but not exactly the same as far as size. But yeah, I have lots of candles. I have scented candles. I have different color candles and different shapes and sizes of candles because it depends on what you're doing. It depends on how long you're going to be able to burn it, how long I intend on using it for. If I am doing it for a spell working, is it something that I want to be able to do in one sitting, in one ritual, in one night? Is it something that I'm going to burn over the course of 3 days? Am I going to burn it once a week for 6 weeks? Am I going to burn it once a month for 6 months? I also like using shaped candles sometimes. I am one of those people that sometimes I've gotten a novelty candle in the shape of something and I'm just like, that's too cute and sweet and precious and I want to leave it like that forever and I don't want to burn it. I have some of those candles that are still just sitting around because I like how they look and I don't want to burn them and it's the only one that I have or I can't get another one like it. I don't know where it came from. But there have also been times where I have found one that is the perfect shape to go along with something that I'm doing. So I have burned shaped candles as spell candles. This would be, for example, if you're doing a self-love working and you've got a pink candle in the shape of a heart. Or if you're doing a spell for growth and you find a candle that is shaped like a flower. Or if you're working with an ocean deity and you find a seashell-shaped candle, scented like ocean waves. So that kind of thing. I think primarily the thing that I go for is color, and then the next thing I go for is scent. Not everybody can handle perfumed things, and especially if I'm doing stuff with other people in community, there are some people who are very sensitive to scents and perfumes and heavily scented oils. So a lot of the time in community, we're using non-scented things, fragrance-free things. So in my personal practice, I like to use the smell good stuff and like incense and things like that. But I'm not usually using those things when I work with others in community. So if we're using candles at all, it's usually unscented. Maybe it has a color that goes along with our intention. But more often than not, you're gonna see the classic plain white tea light. All-purpose, universal. Other than that, I do like using candles just like for mood lighting. I mentioned the term illuminator candles earlier. That's the term that I learned from reading witchcraft books to refer to candles on an altar that are not dedicated to a specific thing. They're not a spell candle for a specific purpose. It's not the god candle, the goddess candle, the fire candle, or any other element candle. They are just there for added illumination. They are there for light. I think some people also just refer to those as altar candles, but in my mind, when I say altar candles, that's a catch-all term for all of the candles on my altar. But on a working altar, for me, I might have my 2 illuminators, I might have my 2 deity candles, or a specific deity candle if I'm working with a specific deity. Otherwise, I just have a god and goddess candle. I might have candles for all 4 elements, or I might just have a candle for fire. I might have a candle for spirit. So yeah, at any given time, I might have a bunch of different candles on my altar. So I differentiate with illuminator candles, which are the ones that are just there for light. And of course, if I'm working in an area where I'm also using electric lights for light, I might not need candles that are there just for illumination. It all depends on what you're doing, where you are, how you're doing it. But I've always been a fan of candle magic. It's always been one of my favorites to do. Probably because it's always been very accessible to me. I've always grown up with a lot of candles around. Definitely living with cats means that I don't use them as often anymore or in the same ways that I used to, but I still have a lot of candles around at any given time, and so I try to use them because they're there. That'll do it for today. Let me know if you are a candle user. What are your favorite types of candles to use as far as shape, size, style? And I will see you tomorrow for the final day of Vlogstice on the solstice. Oh yeah, which means tonight, it's Friday in my time zone, is the longest night, the night before the solstice kind of moment. I put longest night in parentheses on my little images that I shared because that's the idea behind the solstice night, is that it is the longest amount of darkness. But whenever I look online to check those websites that track the amount of daylight and night, daytime hours and nighttime hours, there's always multiple days around the solstice that are measured as having the same amount of darkness. So it's really that like 3 or 4 days right around this time are all the most darkness for this year. At least for where I am, because I think it also somewhat depends on location. But in that sense, there's not really one longest night, there are a few. But here in the Northern Hemisphere, as I am recording this video and uploading it for you, we are in the darkest nights, the longest nights. So we've got one more Vlogstice video after this for the solstice, and then I will be taking a break. But I still have things going on my second channel, so I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching and or listening to this video. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye for now. And don't leave burning candles unattended. Bye!